Welcome in, everybody, to a Monday edition of Birds 365 here. Kicking off a new week on JAKIB Sports, a new week on Birds 365, and it'll be a great 10 hours of content this week across the network. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Monday morning, brother, to kick off another new week? Only 4 weeks left, John, before training camp, brother.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like football. It's a scorcher locally.
Oh,
so
man.
Everybody stay cool if you're local as best as possible. And more importantly, keep those pets cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's supposed to get up to 100, Johnny Mac, in Philly this week, man.
It is already. I was out there. It's our trash day where I am. I'm already overheated at 8 in the morning. That's not a good sign.
No, yeah, but it is a hot one, no doubt about it. I'm going to welcome and thank everybody for being here this morning. Another week here on Birds 365. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mac, John McMullen. Give us follows on X at Zander Krause and at JF McMullen. We'll have Jeff Kerr coming up on the show a little bit later on, as we normally do on our Monday edition. So plenty to talk about here. Today, John, we're going to follow along to start off. Because we are in off-season mode, we have a little bit of freedom to kind of go wherever we want to go. But I'm going to follow along. You and Ed Kratz have been talking about, and you do this every year. We've talked about it on the show for years. But you guys do your top 25 players. And I love the way you do it because you make your list, Ed makes his list, and then there's a point system, starting at the top, I guess, is 25 points, and the 25th person is 1 point. And you combine the two lists. And then the point system determines the top 25 players between you and Eddie Kratz, one of our favorite guests here on Birds 365. So we're going to follow along with the top 25. Johnny Mac, here on Birds 365.
Yeah, it's and when you do this, and there's very little conformity between our list, which tells you two things. It tells you, the people have debates on who's, and we always talk about definitions, and I always talk about the quarterback position because I try to take importance out of it, because that to me is not a very interesting conversation, because the quarterback is always the most important, and that's whether he's a superstar or he's just good or he's bad. Doesn't matter. I always say with Jalen Hurts, if God forbid he gets injured, the most important player on the Philadelphia Eagles becomes Tanner McKee. That's the reality. So to me, that's not a very interesting conversation. So my definition, which I've explained on the show, is who does their particular job the best. Bill Belichick rules, I like to call it. Who does their job description the best. And that's how I kind of do it. Ed's got his own definition. Everybody's got their own definition. And that's fine. But, when you're debating people, I've always said, and I learned in debate class in college, don't debate other people's premises. First of all, it's meaningless to you as a conversation. It's not going to go anywhere, because until you agree on a premise, it's not really worthy of debate. So everybody can have their own definition. That's fine. But we try to get down. And what it tells you is more than anything else, how good this team is. You get to about 17, 18, and we're not going to give away, because it's one player a day, so we're not going to give away the entire list. But you get about to 17 or 18 players, and then there's a little bit of a drop off from really good to then you start trying to cobble together the rest of it, which is really deep for an NFL team.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What is your takeaway from looking at it all? And we're not going to go through the whole list today. We're just going to follow along where you are on SI. But was that the takeaway from doing this exercise this year, John?
Yeah, it's just, there's so many good, and I've talked about it. There's so many good players on this team, and they lost a bunch of good players in the off season.
Right.
And they still
I think this compares to like 24 and then also 22, the 22 team, which went to the Super Bowl and was a great team as well.
Yeah, well, it's very similar, obviously, to last year, because you have the core guys returning, but you lose Milton Williams, who would certainly be on this list. Obviously, Josh Sweat would certainly be on this list. Darius Slay would certainly be on this list. Isaiah Rodgers would be on this list. You could debate Oren Burks, but he would probably be on the list. I mean, they lost a bunch of good players.
Yeah, they did, no doubt. Yep.
So right now, I don't think they're as good as last year, which I've said is one of the best teams of the modern generation, period. Not just best Eagles teams, one of the best teams of the modern generation. So right now, and it's an incomplete product, and I haven't even gone to training camp, and some of these young players might step up and overachieve. Some are probably going to be a little bit worse than people hope for, and that's sort of a give and take. But you have to see how some of these young players step up. The good news is in most of these positions where there's a little bit uncertainty, at least you have some upside. At least you have players with high ceilings. Whether they hit those ceilings,
Right.
that's the whole trick.
Yep, no doubt about it. We have a new featured segment here coming on JAKIB Sports. In fact, it might be a paid subscriber Patreon, and it's called John McMullen's Debate School, episode number 1. Don't argue anybody's premise. I love it, Johnny Mac. Great stuff there. Let's get into the list, man. You guys are done, I believe, 25 and 24, the first 2 that you put out over on SI. So I would assume 23 is coming out today, but we can save that for tomorrow's edition of Birds 365. So start us off, Johnny Mac. I kind of explained how this list works, where you made 25, Ed made 25, and then you combine the 2. But if you want to explain a little bit how you came to the decisions or how it all works, and then just give us that 25th player, John, on this Eagles team.
Yeah, and just to explain how we do it, if there is a tie, the tiebreaker is the highest place finish. So, in other words, somebody has the same amount of points, but he's 10th on my list, and the best he is on Ed's list is 12th.
Okay.
That and what the guy's tied with, whoever has the highest finished on either list is basically how you break the tiebreaker.
Gotcha. So if someone was 11 and 13 and there was 10 and 12 and you had the same points or something, the 10 guy would win. Got it.
So I bring that up because there was a tie at 25. And it happened between the first and the second round pick, Jihad Campbell and Drew Makuba. I had Campbell 22nd on my list. Ed didn't have him on his list. Makuba, Ed had a 22nd and I didn't have him on my list. So they both had the same exact number of points and the same finishes, just opposite.
The 2 rooks, John.
So yeah, we did have, and that's the only tie on the entire list. So 25 tied, Jihad Campbell, Drew Makuba. From my perspective, obviously Campbell's got a tremendous upside, but there's a lot of uncertainty. I don't care about the short term. Like, clearly Ed cares more about the short term. To me, he's a first round pick. He's supposed to be here for, who knows, 7, 8, 9 years if everything hits. And as people talked about, you saw how excited the Eagles were to get him. You saw all the unscripted stuff. You saw the big Fangio smile, which you never see. They think this guy is a defensive weapon. And the last time I heard that is when they signed Saquon Barkley and they called him an offensive weapon. Now, I don't want to put those standards or expectations on Jihad Campbell, but I think there's such a difference in talent between him, who probably would have been a top 15 pick had he not had shoulder surgery, and the 64th pick in the draft. To me, to me, it was pretty clear if I'm going to put one of the rookies on there, it was going to be Jihad Campbell. But it doesn't matter to me if it works. Does he have to be there week 1? Why?
Yeah, right. I mean, look, imagine if we said that. I will say the Cooper DeJean pick last year, I think, helped a lot of Eagles fans with not getting overreactive about that. If we counted out Cooper DeJean because he missed training camp last year, what would that say? That was an
exactly.
player.
And I think a lot of people did, to be honest, early. I think
there was a period of time when there was doubt, for sure.
Yeah. And from Makuba's standpoint, he's on track to play week 1. He's going to get a very good opportunity. Could be a starting player. Big upside. I think he's a good fit from a trade standpoint for a big Fangio defense. So he's going to have an opportunity, no question about it. But that's who we had tied for 25. And, that's why I picked Campbell. We'll have Ed on. He can explain at some point why he picked Makuba. But tie between the rookies, and that'll be the only tie on the list.
I gotta say, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna side with Johnny Mack on this one. I think Jihad has clearly got the talent as a player over Makuba. I don't know Makuba, John. I'm still kind of up in the air. He's the one player this year coming in where him and Ringo, but I do feel a little better about Ringo. Makuba, I'm confident in, but I don't know. I want to see it on the football field. So that's interesting though. Drew and Jihad land at 25 tied. The two rookies this year that are both expected to make an impact on the team this year.
Yeah, and and with any rookies, you saw the past couple years, with Jalen Carter and last year with Cooper and Quinion, you never tend to put rookies that high on the list, but they can move up quickly. As Jalen Carter has done, as you'll see as we go on, as Quinion and Cooper have done this year, you can move up quickly. And I think it would be a disappointment if we're doing this, hopefully in 2027 or 2028, whatever. But and Jihad Campbell's not a top 10 player, maybe top 5 player on the Philadelphia Eagles. That's the goal. I don't see that upside with Drew Makuba.
Yeah, I don't either. Jihad Campbell, John. At what point right now, like where in your head are you thinking he starts to make an impact on the team? Is it week 4? Is it week 8? Is it week 12? Like where in your head right now are you gauging? I know it's just a ballpark. We don't know this obviously, but where are you ballparking that Jihad Campbell comes back to make his return for the Eagles and start to play on the football field?
Well, Big has said this a lot in this offseason, and I think it sort of extends to Campbell and his impact. I think it depends on others. He talked about it like, where's Cooper DeJean going to play? Well, that depends on others. Like,
right,
if Ringo falters, if Jackson falters, he might have to play outside. If somebody can play inside and they say, hey, you know what? Makuba is a great slot player, or Mac McWilliams is a great slot player. Unlikely, but then he might play safety or outside. If Makuba can't play safety or is not ready to play safety, if Sidney Brown's not ready to play safety. So it depends on other guys. Same thing. He said the same thing with Zach Bond. Is he going to play Mike or Will? Well, that depends on the other guys. When N'Kobe's there, he's the Will. But can Trotter handle the Mike? Then he'll play Will. If not, he'll play Mike. And I have a similar take with Campbell's impact. Depends on the other guys. Like, is Jelix Hunt stepped up? Is he providing a pass rush? Is Josh Usay? Is he Ojolari? Antoine Powell-Ryland, we're going to talk about him at some point. Is somebody providing pass rush? If not, they might need him more as a pass rusher. If N'Kobe Dean's not healthy and Jeremiah Trotter's not playing well, they might need him to play linebacker.
What about if they're perfect at linebacker and they're getting edge rush? I mean, it's just going to be harder for him to get on the field.
Well, I think then he gets on the field as a situational pass rusher,
right?
Which is the easiest way to sort of dip his toes into because it's easy to be a sub package player. It's easy. You're not going to rotate at linebacker if your linebackers are playing well. So, it's easier to sub package somebody as a pass rusher. So he might start as a 3rd and 10 guy. All right, let's go get another pass rusher on the field. Might be that.
Yeah,
but so it depends on the other guys, basically. With a bunch, and Vic has said that's a pretty common theme with a bunch of different players.
Where do you think he's best suited in the Vic defense?
I think he's best suited as a hybrid. I think he's best suited as, playing off ball, stack linebacker, whatever you want to call it, on 1st down, 2nd down, and being a pass rusher on 3rd down, or being, at least a pass rushing threat on third down. So I think you're going to see more. It may not be till 2026, but I think you're going to see more A-gap stuff where they mug Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell over the center, and that forces the quarterback to sort of wait till post-snap to see who's coming and who's dropping. Maybe both are dropping, maybe both are coming.
Right.
Now, we know Big's history. He's not going to blitz a ton. So it's more going to be that situation of, all right, who's coming, who's not coming, which is going to be new for Philadelphia. And I think they're going to like it. You know, the best guy and my two, I say it all the time, my two favorite defensive coordinators to watch are Vic Fangio and Brian Flores. Brian Flores is the guy who you never know who's coming. And I think it's going to be exciting for Eagles fans.
Yeah, maybe Vic adds a little bit more of that to the defense with a guy like Jahad Campbell. My only worry on him would be like if he gets stuck on the inside or he plays so well on the inside, do you lose the upside or the potential to put him at, a situational pass rusher if he's playing at the inside linebacker? In theory, you would. Now, they can probably shuffle some things, but maybe that would create the need for a third linebacker, which they have in Trotter, or this year they have in Dean. I don't think they'll have Dean long-term, but you see what I'm saying? Like, do they lose some of that if he becomes the inside linebacker?
Well, a little bit, but, I think if you play like an all-pro, and you saw an all-pro linebacker last year with Zach Bond, I mean, nobody's doubting the impact of Zach Bond or his playmaking ability. And he had, I don't know, he had 3.5 sacks, maybe. What do you have? 4, maybe? I don't know, but not,
So he can still be impactful, but it's a different type of impact.
Yeah, exactly. Now, again, I don't expect him to play at Zach Bond's level, but
no,
he didn't have a ton of sacks because he didn't rush the passer. The Eagles don't blitz that much. But when he did, he was impactful with it. And obviously all the forced fumbles and the pass breakups and the interceptions.
It is a dream scenario, though, to think about Vic having the ability with Bond and Campbell, if they're both in there, to confuse quarterbacks, like you just said with Flores. You never know who's coming. You give Vic Fangio that, that look on defense, that could confuse some quarterbacks big time. So good stuff there. Johnny Mac, that's 25 is Jahad Campbell and Drew Makuba, the only tie of the list. But we get 2-for-1 special to start it off. 2 players at 25, Jahad and Drew, and both of them, the Eagles rookies this year coming in. Moving in, John, you guys did 24 as well. Before we get to Jeff Kerr, I want to rattle this off. Who do you guys got? The SI top 25 player list. 24 on the list goes to who?
A returning veteran gets number 24, and I think this will surprise some people, and that's going to be Matt Pryor. And we don't even know what his role is going to be. He might be the 6th man on the offensive line. He might be the starting right guard. But I will say last year he had his best season in Chicago. For people that don't know, he basically had a career high 15, I think, starts. Was ranked by PFF as the 21st best guard in the NFL, 21st best guard in the NFL, which is pretty good. There's 64 starters, 32 teams, 64 guards.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And that's the way he played. And I think a lot of people look at Chicago and say, well, they were a bad team, and they were a bad team. And the quarterback took a lot of sacks, but you know why the quarterback took a lot of sacks? He doesn't process, he runs around. But you look at him, and again, my description is do your job. He was one of the best right guards in football last year. Now, 77 guys were ranked. Tyler Steen was 75 and Kenyon Green was 76 last year. So you're talking about, for those saying, well, isn't Tyler Steen, he's going to be the starter. Well, the Eagles hope that.
77 were ranked. Tyler Steen was 75 and
Kenyon Green was 76.
Oh.
And
All right,
Matt Pryor, And Matt
Okay.
Pryor played, by the way, over 1,000 snaps, and most of them were at right guard. Now, the interesting part about him, he's got 4 position versatility. He can play anywhere but center.
Yep.
So he's going to be part of this team.
It sounds like a no-brainer that he's going to be the starter.
Ultimately, I think he's going to be the starter. But we'll see. And I don't want to overstate it and say he's going to be Mekhi Becton, but he brings some of that size as well. He's 6'7", 330. And Jeff Stoutland has a history of liking big bodies inside. So he's bigger as well. And from the first time when he was here, he was part of that tremendous 2018 draft class, which is very small but very effective.
Yeah,
Think about that draft
class, right? Yeah, 5 players.
Dallas Goedert, Avonte Maddox, Josh Sweat, Matt Pryor, Jordan Mailata. 2018, they're all still in the NFL in 2025. Think about that success rate. And they've all been good players at times. Some really good. In the case of Goddard, Sweat, and Mailata.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, I mean, Mailata could be.
Well, I'm just going in order because Jordan was the 7th round pick. Matt was the 6th round pick. Avonte and Josh both went in the 4th round. And Dallas was the 2nd round pick. But so, yeah, Matt Pryor comes in at number 24. Now, I believe he was 21st on my list, and I don't have it in front of me, but Ed, again, did not put him on there. Ed put Tyler Steen on the bottom of his list, but he didn't make the top 25, so I can say that.
Not enough points for
yeah.
All right, John, tell me if you agree with this. This is my ceiling and floor for Matt Pryor. Ceiling, I think, is obvious. He's your starting right guard, and he plays the year, and he's a competent, good right guard like he was last year in Chicago. My floor for him is what? Swing tackle, maybe for the team, or a swing offensive lineman that they use, kind of like they used Fred Johnson last year. I mean, I think it was BLG who brought that up on the show. I forget who it was, but maybe it was even Oscar last week.
Well, we
talk about the starters we lost. We had a lot of guys in reserve roles last year who made big plays, big moments for us. We got to fill those guys in too. Is that what Tyler Steen, or what Matt Pryor could be?
Well, I think you can almost. He's a little bit more versatile than those types of guys because he can play inside and outside. Right. And he has played inside and outside. He was drafted as a tackle. He was a tackle in college at TCU. And he's proven he can play really effectively inside. So obviously, if he doesn't win the job, he's going to be the top backup at right guard. And I think he'd be the top backup. But they might do it like they did it a couple of years ago. They have a backup on the right side and a backup on the left side. And he could do both right tackle, right guard. Remember, Kendall Lamb's here is too. That they're obscenely deep on the offensive line. That is a long-time veteran left tackle who has played in this league. So they got a bunch of guys they can go to. And that doesn't even bring up the rookies. Drew Kendall, center guard versatility, Cam Williams and Miles Hinton guard tackle versatility in theory with those guys. Hinton and Williams were tackles in college, but so you're trying to develop. If you're a backup, you got to play more than one position, and Matt Pryor can play 4, so that's positive.
Yeah, that's excellent versatility for the Eagles' offensive line, and that offensive line should be pretty good. So there's your first 2 players of the top 25 list. It's really 3 players. We got a 2-for-1 at 25 with Campbell and Makuba, and then 24 coming in with Matt Pryor. It's funny to think about how good this offensive line is. John, we could have.
I counted up. There are 14 NFL players on this team that play offensive line. I think 14. And they can't keep 14. So they're going to be cutting 14. I'm going to list them. Obviously, you have the 5 projected starters.
5 projected.
We just talked about Matt Pryor and Kendall Lamb. You have Kenyon Green, who again, he struggled, but he's an NFL player. And again, when I say NFL player, I mean they belong in the league. To me, Trevor Keegan's an NFL player. We don't even talk about him anymore. The 3 rookies, to me, they're NFL players. Drew Kendall, no doubt about it. Miles Hinton, the Eagles love Miles Hinton. Cameron Williams, I think people outside the building like Cameron Williams even more than they do. I wasn't even counting. I know I wasn't even counting Holland Pierce. A number of people are high on him. Brett Toth has been here for a long time. How many is that?
That's a lot. I think you're up to 14.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
I lost track of 10.
Yeah.
It's
ridiculous how many players they have that belong in the NFL. And really, you can make that argument. A lot of people, but to me, the Holland Pierce stuff is he's undrafted. That's more about
he's a little more out there. I mean,
that's more about Stoutland will do this with him.
So how big do you think the loss then of Becton is, John? Like, I know it's big. I mean, he was a damn great player, and obviously we had a historic running season last year with one of the better run blocking guards in the league, in Mekhi Becton. How big's that loss, or is it in your head? This offensive line's too deep for me to get concerned about that.
Oh, I'm not getting. I do think it's a big loss from the perspective he was a perfect fit for what they did last year. I mean, they were a run first team with a phenomenal running back, and he, I don't know. I'm sure Jeff knows if somebody does pancake blocks, he had to be near the top of the list. When he pops on, but he was just a perfect fit for that run first team. Now, if they have to be more pass heavy, as a lot of people expect, maybe it'll be less of a big deal. If they're going to do the same thing that they did last year, I think it's a big deal. You can't replace that type of physicality, and that's what they did. They bullied people, and unless you find another 6'7", 360-pound guy that's quick enough to handle what they do, I think it's a downgrade. But no, I'm not going to panic because you can't have 5 great players on the offense.
But it is a downgrade. Like, you're not thinking that offensive line's as beastly as it is.
No,
yeah, I agree. I agree. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. There's the first couple guys here on the top 25 list. So we'll follow them along during the whole next 20 days or whatever it is, however long it takes John and Ed to put those up. Is that what you're doing? One a day? One post a day?
One a day. Number 23 coming up today.
So we'll cover that tomorrow. And for the next 20 days or 23 days or so, we will cover that here on Birds 365. A good start to the list. A couple of names I didn't expect, which is a good thing for me. I'm going to get into some more of those guys. We got Jeff Kerr